Hi, I'm Paul Modiano from Logical Developers, and in this, a continuation of our series on IronSpeed Designer and Telerik RadControl integration, we're going to explore how to use RadWindow with IronSpeed Designer. Now, for those of you who are familiar with Telerik tools, IronSpeed Designer is a premier code generation development environment for ASP.NET. And if you're an IronSpeed developer, Telerik makes some of the best controls out there. IronSpeed, meet Telerik. Telerik, meet IronSpeed Designer. The demos section of the Telerik website includes a section dedicated to the RadWindow control. The RadWindow control can perform a number of functions, but in this demo, we're going to show how it can pop up a stylish modal window that we can integrate into IronSpeed Designer. We're going to start by creating a new application in IronSpeed Designer, and we are just going to go through and allow the application to be based on the familiar Southwind database that comes with IronSpeed Designer. And I'm just going to put a couple of tables here. I'm not even going to put order details, I'll just put orders. Next, 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 and finish. We're now looking at the resulting application. If I click on customers, you can see that the list of customers pops up. And if I click on show record for a particular customer, you can see that the customer's record pops up. Let's say instead I wanted this information, just the customer information, not even the orders, to pop up in a modal window. Well, that's where we would use RadWindow. The RadWindow control that we're going to implement is going to have to be placed on the Show Customers table page. And the HTML and JavaScript that's going to be required will have to be placed on this page in IronSpeed Designer. But before we can do that, we're going to have to get started in Visual Studio, which we can get to by clicking this button. Now let's take a look at our project in Visual Studio. First thing we're going to take a quick look at is the bin folder, and you can see that the bin folder has various assemblies in there, but it doesn't have our Telerik assemblies. Telerik makes it simple to add the assembly, and what we're going to do is we're going to drag and drop our RadWindow control in to the ASPX page. Now, any of you who know a little bit about IronSpeed know that those ASPX pages get overwritten every time a page is generated. So what we're doing is mostly a temporary measure that'll help us bring our assemblies into our IronSpeed application. Now we're looking at the Show Customers Table ASPX page, and I'm going to scroll down to our RadControls until I see our RadWindow control. I'm also going to scroll down until I see just a convenient place to drop our RadWindow control, and I'm going to do that right here. Any old place will do. By doing this, I'm telling Telerik to load the assembly and load up the bin folder, and you can see now, look what in addition to putting the RadWindow control on this page, it has added the DLLs that are required. It also has added this assembly registration to our page. What we need to do is take that assembly registration and bring it into our IronSpeed project. So I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to go back to my IronSpeed interface. I'm going to right click anywhere on this page and say Page Directives. And at the top, above this content tag, I'm going to paste my Telerik assembly registration statement. And I'm going to click OK. We have just a few steps left. What I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to Customer Fields, and I'm going to take a look at our Customers Row View button. We're going to make a note of the name of the button, but we're also going to go into its properties to look at button actions and see that it is in fact pointing to customers, show customers.aspx, customers equal the primary key. And we'll see that, and what we're going to do is delete this and just let it stay on current page. Why are we doing this? We're doing it because we are going to add an on-client click event. However, if we were to just add a single on-client click event right here in the properties window, it would send the page to the same place each time. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to do a code customization. Our next step is to create our code customization, and one of the easier ways to do that is to go through the documentation tab, which shows the various classes, and what we're seeking is the customer table control row class. In there is the pre-render, and that's what we're doing. We're looking to edit the pre-render in that class, and when we ask to do so, what do we find? Show customer table controls.wb, and here we are at the customer table control row. And what we want to do is add a little bit of code to here, and I've pre-written the code. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to paste it and explain it. This overrides the on pre-render. On pre-render is normally executed in the generated code that is overwritten, and by putting this in our safe area where we can place our customizations, it'll be guaranteed not to be overwritten, but it'll do what we say. And here's what we say. We say that it's going to do what it normally does, except it's also going to start a transaction. It's going to look for the customer row view button that we spoke of before and set its on click to a yet to be written JavaScript called show customer, where it's going to send the exact customer ID, and then it's going to end the transaction, and that's it. Now we have to add our code to our show customers table page, and I'm going to go to the root of the page, and I'm going to move this customer table control statement down. I'm going to go above it. I'm going to paste in some text that I will explain. First, we start off with our Telerik RadWindow Manager, and it's called RadWindow Manager 1. It has various properties set. Show content during load equals true, visible status bar equal false, and so on. Same goes for the rad window underneath it called RadWindow 1. That is the main rad window that we're using. Destroy on close equal true. A bunch of other properties set. Modal equals true. Auto size equals true. And all of these can be referenced at the Telerik website. Right after I close the Rad Window Manager, we have our Rad Code block. The Rad Code block encloses our JavaScript. The JavaScript is what we saw before and what we put in the pre-render, which is show customer, in which I'm placing the customer ID. And what it does is it's using rad open to open our show customers.aspx file, and it's passing along the customer ID and referencing rad window 1. And after that, you could see that there are a number of other properties that are also set, some perhaps redundantly. The last thing that we need to do is go into our show customers ASPX page, and we can see that it still has our orders table control that underneath the customer record control, and we're going to get rid of that because we just don't need it. And then we're going to get rid of the corresponding row, and guess what? We're done. Let's run our application. Running the program, you can see that the show record button now opens our page in a modal window. keeping the old page in the background. And that'll work for any record, just as designed. The only thing that one should think about doing is using a blank master page rather than one with other menu items, and that's easy enough to do. For more information on integrating third-party controls with IronSpeed Designer, you can visit the video training page at logicaldevelopers.com. You could also visit the forums and knowledge base at ironspeed.com. And for a wealth of examples about how to implement Telerik RadControls for ASP.NET Ajax, you can visit telerik.com. Thanks for watching.